What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Discord Friday. If you're not a member of Discord, please click that link below. Come put your pictures on Discord and you could be on a future Friday's video. So if you are new to the channel, I pretty much post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday is a topic video where I pick a topic to go over. Wednesday is called A Few Minutes, where I just put a real quick video out there, give you a quick tip on warehouse selecting, forklift operator, whatever it is that is on my mind. And then every Friday, we go over to Discord pictures. We go over Discord Friday. That's where you post your pictures on, and we are pulling them off there to critique them and hopefully help you build a better pallet. Guys, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content, and let's get to the pictures. All right, so the first pallet we're going to look at is Earn Dog. I'm going to go through this pallet. It's nice and square, and I say that as one of the foremost. We are all the way out to the outside of wood. We're nice and square. There's definitely things on this pallet that I would never do, but just because I say I would never do it does not mean I'm right, okay? Because this is a beautifully built pallet. But these as a corner is one of the weakest things you can put on your corner, in my opinion. Now, I've showed you in the past, whenever I do these coffee creamers, I do not put them on corners if I can help it, unless they're all the way up here. If they're up higher on the pallet, I will put them on corners, but I try to keep them in the middle of the pallet. If they came first in your order, then there's a problem. Your company needs to move these creamers. You should not be starting out with creamers on your base. So if I had, 4 creamers and I started with that, they would be on my forks. If I had a 1 pallet order, I would put these 4 creamers on my forks or on my jack. They're not going on my pallet. I would never use them as a base. It may not make it, guys. As beautiful as this pallet looks, this may not make it to the store, because any type of shifting in the truck and that, man, these creamers, they bend real easy. So there's a good possibility that this pallet may fall over before it gets to the store. So let's look at the rest of the pallet. We're looking good. I like it. I like it. We're staying nice and level. Slight lean here, nothing major. If this lean was lower, I'd probably say let's fix it, but we're about midway up the pallet. You could usually get away with stuff like this at midway. Not a fan of putting cases like this in the part of the pallet, but it worked. They had it work for them. I'm not a fan. If you watch my video, you know I'm not a fan, but it worked. Just because, like I said, because I say it's one way does not mean it's the right way. I like the use of the slip sheet. And once again, we got a tie-in from a high to a low. Bad habit to get into. Top of the pallet, does not matter. But guys, just remember, you have a high and a low like this, you do not want a 45-degree angle or even a 30-degree angle. You do not want to tie in a high and a low. But other than that, we got a nice constructed pallet. That's the front of it. Let's take a look at the side. All right, so here's the side of that pallet. I'm going to go right down to the bottom layer. I don't know what this is. It's probably a butter, it looks like to me. I don't care. I still want to put it on its side. So I would not put the butter on its side. Hopefully it's not liquid, which this one is. Guys, these are cartons. It's either creamer or something to that nature. If you squeeze the side of the carton, what happens? That top will pop open real easy. We got a case that's sitting on it. Once again, we're tied in pretty good. We have a slip sheet. They utilize that pretty well to take the pressure off of this case on its side. But for new selectors, I highly recommend cases upright for all liquid, never on their sides and never upside down. Please keep your liquid upright. But other than that, we're nice and flat, nice and tight in, keeping cases together all the way up this pallet. So just the 2 cases on its side is my only downfall. I don't mind, like I said, I don't mind the slip sheet down here. It was a good recovery with your little gap down here. But other than the few cases on its side, this is a very nice looking pallet. Let's take a look at the back of your pallet. All right, so here's the back of that pallet. This is like picture perfect. The back of this pallet is perfectly done. We got all cases upright. We got perfect tie-ins the whole way up. Keeping, guys, this is why it's so important to group these cases together. You will stay level. Dairy's a lot easier to build than other places, but still good. Look, high corner, low inside. High corner, low inside. Perfect case to tie in. I love these longer yogurts. I always tie them in. Light cases together, light cases together, light cases together. Very nice palette from this point of view. All right, guys, I'll tell you what. We had the one selector from Russia. show us that they're selecting on these small pallets. And then we had, I forget these screen names already, but Homie telling us that he selects on these small pallets. It is absolutely crazy what warehouses have you working off of. Then you pull this out. This is reactive from Discord, came with this. I'm just like, what the heck is this? Can't use wrap. You got to use these carts, and then they got to use these bungees to lock them in. This is crazy. I mean, but the way you stack this is basically how I would do it. There is really no other way of doing this. It's insane. It's just insane that you have to use these carts. Yeah, but I mean, the way you did it, I mean, how other way are you supposed to do it? You're basically column stacking and squeezing cases in as much as possible so these two columns do not rock together. So what you're doing, keep doing it. It's exactly the way I would do it. Stack things straight up and squeeze a case in between so it doesn't rock in, and you're keeping you're keeping your two columns up against that rack, that cage, and hoping that we don't fall sideways. Let's take a look at your next picture. So here is another one of your pictures with 3 carts on your pallet jack. Could you imagine hitting the down button with these? You got wheels, you got the coaster wheels down here. Could you imagine accidentally hitting your down button and having all 3 of these carts going? Has that ever happened? I'm so curious to know. But you're doing a great job. I mean, you're filling out as much as you could possibly can, and there's really no need to tie in with this stuff. No need to tie in. What you're doing with the column stacking is exactly the way you want to do it. Man, I don't know. I don't know if I would like this, but you're doing a great job. I'm very thankful that you share these. Everyone that is, doing all this, I'm very thankful, because it just shows the different type of warehousing that's out there, the different type of selection there is. And to see something like this, if other people select on these carts, you're definitely helping them out, and I appreciate you sending in your pics. All right, so this picture is Tay-Doh. This almost looks familiar. I can't remember if we went over this picture. Like I said, sometimes I might repeat a picture because people tend to put their pictures on multiple times. If I ever repeat a picture, I'm sorry. But once again, guys, solid work here. Solid pallets, but I'm going to go right down to this juice upside down. There's no need for it. There's no need to have liquid upside down. I do say to try to keep these cases upright. They're apples. They're in cartons. But you know what? I see the bands still on there. They do have bands going around them. I just like to keep everything upright if I possibly can, but it's not that big of a deal with the apples. But the juice, I would never put on upright, upside down. But I love grouping the cases together. See how we column stack our grapes and our, everything that we have here. Just a great constructed pallet. This I would never do. Whether this is pears or apples or whatever the heck they are, it doesn't matter. Oranges. I would never do this. See the bottom of that box? It's already buckling because they're all loose contents in there. The apples or oranges or whatever that is, pears, they're all loose contents. And now they're just pushing against there because you got weight on top of it. Even though it's not a lot of weight, it's still enough weight to buckle this case. These cases are meant to be upright. They are definitely, the top of this box is so much stronger than the bottom of this box. I would never, ever, ever, ever do this. They're always upright. So that's my only critique on your palette. Other than that, your work looks great. All right, so the next 2 pictures I'm going to look at are Trevor's. The first thing I want to say is that I believe that you're wrapping as you're selecting your palette by looking at this, and you are wrapping too much. When you wrap too much, you condense the palette, so you're losing cube. So when you put your kombuchas, the Kavitas back here on the back of your palette, and you wrapped, well, you lost your whole corner right here because you squeezed it so much. Put it on the problem area and call it a day. Now, this pallet could have been tied in. I got a video coming out with this. Guys, if you follow my channel, what do you see going all the way up? Part of the pallet I can't stand. You're putting cases like this and you were taking away from the stability of the pallet, because look at this tower and it's just going to fall over all the way down to these cases right here. These 2 cases with the brown and red stripe on, if you would have faced them towards the middle of your pallet, you could have tied in your back potato right here with this box, and then you could have kept it going in this direction. learn to tie in. Stop stacking cases like this in this part of the pallet. I can't stand it. Nothing ever comes good of it. I promise you. I got a video coming out. Please watch it when it comes out because nothing ever comes good of it. So let's look at your next picture. All right. So I did comment on Discord when you posted this picture. I said the first thing I would have done is move these celery sticks out. Now that I'm looking at it, these are a smaller case. So I'm curious what's on your inside because we already got a lean going here. So at first I thought your column was leaning over because of the celery sticks, but it's not. These are those smaller boxes. So I'm curious, on the inside of this pallet, do you have a higher case? And then you took these grapes or whatever they are and you stuck them in. And so we already had a slant. And then the corn comes. The corn is an awkward bag. It crowns in the middle. They're kind of hard to push around. I like them in the middle. I definitely like them in the middle, but we already had a lean going. And then we put the strawberries on top of that and you put them this way. Instead of putting, I don't understand it. I just don't get it. I'm not like mad at you, but I'm just curious why everybody wants to put cases like this in this part of the pallet. These strawberries should have followed the corn, followed the grapes, and kept going towards the inside. And then you could have turned this whole column back here, minus the blueberries. You could have took your strawberries or even some of these grapes and you could have faced it in to tie it in. Quit stacking cases like this. And then with that big of a slope coming down, there is no doubt your middle of your pallet is so goofed. I can just guess because when you do this, you're creating yourself, they're filling gaps in the middle. So more than likely you put a case in there and you did not have a level inside the middle of this pallet. So you had, probably a gap like this. You put a case in, then it fell in and it started pushing over. So I almost could guarantee it. Your middle of your pallet, you threw little cases in there and they pushed over your whole column because we want to stack like this. So Trevor, please stop stacking like this in this part of the pallet. Face them in. Watch my video that's coming out Monday. All right, the next two pictures I want to look at is YDM, YDK, YDLLMNOP. You keep changing your name, so I don't know what to call you. I actually like this. I'm going to be using it on a future video as well when I talk about tying in. But guys, I like how we call them stack, and then we got that tie in. Even though this is on a little slant, it's just enough to put the pressure here. Then we got a nice column here. That's all it is, guys. Weight distribution. We got a column. We tie in this potato, even though it's leaning, and then we get pressure from this box on here, and then we got this same here. We got just a beautifully stacked pallet. When you're stacking, we call this dry goods, the dry room, warm room up at our building. This is exactly how you want to do it. It's a beautiful pallet. All right, guys, the last picture for today, YDM, LLNMNOP. Once again, your dairy pallet, and you got some produce, it looks like on the back. I love your dairy. Your dairy is so beautiful. Once again, particular. What I would have done if I threw these, whatever these 8 boxes are, cherries or whatever they are, what I would have done if I started to get the kombucha, the GTs and all that stuff, I would have just took these and threw them up in the front. And that way I have my Welch's and my Florida to stack on. I don't like stacking on open boxes because of what's happening with your kombucha. It's actually sinking into the box. So if they are cherries or something that could easily be broken, it's possibly by the time it gets to the store, it will be. So what I would have done is just took this 4 stack and then threw it up here. Even if I already threw it there, I would have just hurried up and grabbed them, threw them up here, and then I would have had boxes to stack on. And then some people will be like, oh, what's this gap back here? And he's got one of those long flowers. One of those long flowers, yeah, that usually is what happens. But a great looking palette as usual. All right, guys, so that's the end of the video. Thank you for sending your pictures in. If you're not a member of Discord, remember, sign up. It's free. It's always going to be free. Go over there, chat with everybody, have fun, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.